taking inspiration from the experiences they have or the external environment around them, whether it be romantic relationships, friendships, etc. Because those interactions and experiences are so limited during COVID-19, do you find that your artistry has been limited as a result, or do you find yourself artistically stifled more so now?
I definitely feel like it is difficult to even just be an artist during COVID, but especially when your art is so connected to stories, interpersonal relationships, real life. It's definitely a little more difficult. I think what I've been doing is finding new ways to just express myself when I don't feel I can just 100% be an artist all the time. And I've always been that kind of artist who's had his foot, in different places, had several pots on the stove. So this go around with everything going on with COVID, it's definitely forced me to look at other ways to connect with people because the ways we're used to on a regular basis are kind of not always available anymore. So it was important for me to just kind of find new and inventive ways, with the IG Live series, with working with Margins Magazine. There's just been different opportunities for me to kind of express myself creatively given everything that's going on.
Great. Have you experienced any surprising positives during this time as it relates to you or your art? Like, has this been a time of self reflection for you? And do you feel like that's helping your music or your writing? And in what areas do you feel like your art thrives because you have so much of this extra time? We all do, right? So, how do you think that's working for you?
I think I've definitely been able to find ways to be more aware of how much self love and self care I'm giving to myself and how I need to do more of that in order to really navigate these waters, navigate these times. I think sometimes you can be on autopilot, and then when things like this happen, you're like, okay, I'm okay, but are we really okay? Are we really able to just push through the way we always want to? That can sometimes be difficult. I'd say for my art, it's really finding ways to really just recognize the times we're in, recognize what's going on, and then how do we kind of output during those times. And I've spoken with other creatives, I've spoken with other artists, and we're all kind of having these conversations, having these discussions, having these thought processes where it's just like, right now, can I be an artist? And if I am going to be an artist, how am I making sure I'm aware, and how am I making sure that my followers and the people who are supporting me are aware that I care about them, I care about what's going on, and I want to make sure that everything I'm saying is cognizant of what's going on. So I think for my writing process, I definitely want to be pushing in that direction, being a lot more aware of what's going on right now in this period of time and how I can use that to help others who may be struggling during this time, who may be feeling down during this time. I know what that feels like. So I want to make sure that I'm kind of including that in everything that I'm doing so that people know that I'm supporting them in this regard as well through my art and through my music. But also recognizing that during this time, people still want to remember the good times. They still want to have a great time. They still want something they can bop to. They still want something that, they can shake their head to, that they can dance to. So recognizing that, yes, we should be aware, and yes, we should speak on the things that are going on, but also give people that chance to still have a good time, because we still all need to be able to smile and laugh at the end of the day and get through everything that's going on.
So, we've talked before about the challenges of COVID-19 in terms of promotion. So, not being able to make music videos in public places or perform in public spaces and so on. And we also see how mainstream artists have been dealing with these challenges too. So, a lot of them are performing at home or they're putting out pre recorded music that they may not have thought to put out before, so on. So, how are you dealing with these challenges, especially as an independent artist?
So, what a lot of people didn't know was just before everything kind of got shut down because of COVID and there was quarantine protocols put in place, I was actually in the works of filming a couple of music videos. I had to contact my videographer and say, even though we had a location that I had already scoped out, even though we had everything in place, we knew what songs we were doing it for, I felt it would be better that we just cancel it for now or postpone it, because I didn't want there to be a situation where we were out in public and basically people were saying you cannot be out in the streets. And Also, I wanted to make sure I kept in mind the health and safety of everyone who was working with me and who would be kind of pushing to get these projects done. So that really did suck. I didn't talk about it publicly, but obviously there's way worse going on, and there's other things that are happening to people that are 10 times worse, and I'm just grateful for my health, and I'm grateful that I'm still able to be an artist during this time. But that was something I had to cancel because it just wasn't possible to, just put myself in a situation and put others in a situation that may be compromising, especially with everything that was going on. And it was still early on, so people were still very worried. People didn't know how this was all going to play out. So I had to kind of cancel that. Now, at this point in time, I am slowly finding ways to get back out there, get things done. I've definitely had conversations with people I've worked with in the past and said, how can we still make things happen right now? What do we have to do? What do I have to do? And it's an ongoing conversation. It is challenging, I will say. I really shout out every artist who I've seen do really creative music videos at home, have their own sets, find ways to do different things. I really respect it, and I really just appreciate that, being an artist and being someone who loves art. And I'm working on that as well. It's just going to just take a little bit of navigating, and hopefully, we'll be back up and running with everything soon. That's what I would love, but I would also love for everyone to be safe and healthy. So that ultimately takes precedent. And once that is, more possible, and that's kind of what the future is looking like, I definitely think we'll be able to get back on track and get more things done.
So you've been an artist for almost a decade now, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So, so what advice would you give to new artists emerging during this unprecedented time? So, is there any advice that you would give for those trying to put themselves out there, especially when physical distancing measures are still in place and increasing now?
I would say don't be too hard on yourself. I know when I was starting out, obviously, we were in different times, but I always was just extremely hard on myself. And I still am hard on myself as an artist. You know what I mean? You want to have a critical lens when it comes to your art. That's the only way to do better. But just being understanding that some of the things that people could do before all of this, it's just not possible for people to do that anymore. So when I was starting out, one big thing for me, and one thing that's still big for me, is performing live and meeting new people and connecting and networking and all that kind of stuff. You can't do that the same way that you used to. So understanding that you shouldn't compare yourself to that, because that's just not possible. However, if there are opportunities to do online showcases, we see a lot of Instagram live things going on. We see different ways people are using Zoom and online networks. And I did see, kind of some live performances happening in certain cities where they have a plastic shield up. So there are ways that people are getting around this in order to promote and present their artwork to other people. So I think just recognizing that there are ways to do it, and taking the time to find out how you can be part of that conversation and be part of those opportunities, but also recognizing if you need to take time for yourself during this time, and you want to kind of focus on your writing or focus on doing things in-house, so that way you're low on cost and that you're able to experiment and practice with sounds and styles and stuff like that. Like, whatever you choose to do, just make sure you're giving yourself room to say, hey, these are crazy times, they affect us all in different ways, and I'm doing the best that I can. And I think when you do that as an artist and you're transparent and you're open about that, it's definitely going to help people to connect with you, enjoy you, and respect what you do.
So, why do you think creating music and art in times of crisis is so important?
When COVID and quarantine started, I really saw online, and heard from other people, there was just this demand for artists to produce art. And everyone was saying, well, you're at home now, so how are you putting out artwork? We all want to see it. We're all at home, so we want to know what you're doing, what you're working on. And I saw that, like, public demand and that public outcry for art, and I thought that was so important, and I thought that was amazing, and I thought it would be a great opportunity for artists to really push their pen, get their work out there, do what they got to do. And as amazing as that is, I think it also is really important to understand that, like, artists, we're just like anybody else, and we're impacted by the times. And even though your favorite artist may not say it out loud, they probably are impacted in some way, or they know someone who's impacted in some way. So everybody is going to be affected by this in some form or fashion. So it's just important to recognize that, and important to recognize that this is a great time to release if you're able to. I know a lot of great artists who are putting out music, really pushing their pens, really doing everything that they need to. But if you're not able to do that also, then I think that's okay too. As long as you're doing what you have to do that's best for you. And when you're able to put out something, release something, work on something, know that the world is waiting for it and that they're looking forward to it.